Today I'd like to talk to you about one of my favorite anime series, manga series ever, and that is Girls Last Tour. So even though this is an anime review and it is not in line like I used to do, it will involve some spoilers. Now, I'm not going to go over the entire plot, so if you have not read it in a while and you're not quite sure, maybe refresh yourself, then come back, because I'm not going to go deep into the plot in every point of the way through, but I will be spoiling not only the anime, but I will be spoiling the manga as well. But if you don't care and you just like to hear my thoughts on it, do check it out. But I do recommend it because the manga is only 6 volumes, so you can get through it really quickly. So please go read it, come back. If you've already read it and you know how it ends, then stick around. We got a lot to talk about. So post-apocalyptic stories have always interested me. I find them intriguing on how different creators and authors can interpret how they believe the end of the world will look. Some see it as like a Fallout universe, to where it's ghouls and fighting and war. Even though the war is over, war never changes. Some see it as completely deserted. There is very little left. Everything's radioactive. Everything's basically a wasteland. But one thing most of those series have in common is the idea of hope, that you can still have hope in that universe. Usually there's one or two characters that has like a hopeful line, and yeah, half the time they're proven wrong and they realize, no, the world is just awful, and they end up becoming bad themselves. There's still some semblance of hope and that the future might be great. What is interesting about Girls Last Tour is that's not really the case. You see, with Girls Last Tour, we go through the entire series here. Now, I am going to be talking about the entire manga here. The first season of Girls Last Tour, which is probably the only season we'll get, and we'll talk about that later, covers the first 4 volumes. So we have Volume 1 here, Volume 2, Volume 3, and 4. It does not cover the final 2. And in my opinion, this is where some of the greatest points of this story come. That's Volume 5 and 6 here. 6 being one of my all-time favorite manga volumes of all time. This is a insanely well done ending to a franchise or a whole series that I can't even begin to describe in words how well this is, but I will try to explain it. So what I mean by this story does not give us a lot of hope is that pretty much it is showing that there was hope and that people were good, and that is not to be diminished, and that is not to be looked badly upon. That the world was awful. It was not awful. There were certain things in it that were awful, but people in general are normally good. So just to begin from the beginning, we start off and we meet our 2 main girls here, and we see that they are just wandering this wasteland. They're all by themselves. We see that something has happened. It is obviously long past a war that has happened. We don't really get a set age for either of them. It's kind of irrelevant at this point, and we don't really know what happened. We can guess, and there's a lot of, it pretty much is shown later that some sort of major war happened, and then that left a lot of the food supplies and everything very low, and that as time has gone on, that has gotten lower and lower, and more people have died. But they have one goal, and that is to reach the top of one of these massive cities, because they believe something's there. They don't really know what. They don't really know if it's something that might be good. They don't really know. There is no like, wonder what's up there, There is some, but there's no like, when we get up there, we'll, that'll solve all our problems. I don't think they even really believe that. I think they really just are using that as a reason to keep going. And this gets me into a really side tangent here, but the world building in this series and the size of these cities is so insanely impressive, and it looks so well drawn and done. It is insane. You really never fully grasp how big these cities are, because they will spend entire episodes going up just a column from one level to the next. And so you don't know how tall this thing is. We don't really know what year this is. We don't know how far in the future this is. We have no idea. We're just experiencing basically these girls' daily life, and that's all that matters. So many series like Fallout or Mad Max or whatever, Cyberpunk, whatever, will dive really far into explaining the past, explaining the backstory, and that's great. And some series are insanely well done. I love Fallout, and I love the lore in that series. It is insanely good lore. But with Girls Last Tour, we don't need the lore. All we need to know is that these two are trying to get to the top of their city here, and that's all they want to do. And they're having a good time doing it, and they're finding fun things to keep them going throughout their journey. Whether it be finding chocolate or just finding random things that they find curious, that they're curious about, that they find enjoyment out of. That is what keeps them going. What keeps them going to the top. Whether it be her books, whatever. It's just something that they can strive to keep finding more, to keep them going. That's all that matters to them. We meet multiple characters along the way that also are trying to find reasons to keep going or whatever. And we see that they have more reason to keep going. They're trying to kind of document the world or find a reason to maybe escape the world, find something better, but these two, our main two here, they just want to go to the top. Like I said, no real reason. They think there's something up there. One of my favorite scenes, and I want to talk about this because it is one of my favorite all-time anime scenes, is when they put up a bunch of cans and the rain starts falling. And the rain hits the cans and makes music. This scene is not to be underestimated on how impactful it was to me and how it should be impactful to you. And a major theme of this whole series is the idea that if a world like ours was completely destroyed, it's not gone. There's still more out there. There's still more on Earth that would survive. The entire Earth is a very, very small likelihood to ever be completely destroyed. We can be destroyed. We are a fragile, humanity is a fragile existence, and we can easily be gone. But the world itself won't be. And like with the cans and the water, the last song made on Earth will not be made from humans. It will be made by nature. The rain hitting the cans make a tune, they hum to it. It's the last song of humanity is not made by humans. It is made by the remnants of humans. Now, next up here, all this going forward and until the finale, whenever I kind of tell you about my general opinion on it, rating and everything like that, I'm going to go over volume 5 and 6. So this is where it's going to get really into the spoilers for the manga. If you've not read it, go read it. It's not that long. Like I said, it's 2 volumes. There's not that many chapters in it. Go read it, come back, and then we'll talk about it. But the final 2 volumes really show them basically going to the top. That's their last priority now. There's no real distractions in this. They are just going to the top. And as they get closer to the top, we run into more and more problems. It's getting colder. Their vehicle is slowly starting to not function, and they're running low on food supplies. It is basically we can't turn back now because we wouldn't make it. We would not survive if we turned back. And I think that is where the audience begins to know this is it. Unless there's something up there, then this is it for them. And I think we hold out hope that there's something there, that there is something amazing that can save them, that is this incredible final chapter to where we see they made it. They survived. They made it. They reached this safe haven for, to where they can live forever and they can live out their lives like they should have, but when they were kids, when all this happened. They even have to resort to burning books. They have to abandon their vehicle. We are pretty much on their own. It's just them two, very little supplies, and then we get to the top. And there's nothing. And this is where I think the best of the whole manga and one of my favorite manga chapters that I've ever read happens. They reach the top where I think deep in their heart, they knew it was coming, but there's nothing there. And then they basically say, well, they know at this point, this is it. There's nothing left. And they even begin to say, should we have done something else? Should we have gone a different path to where we could have lived? And then they stop one another and they say, nope, we're it. We're the only ones in this world. But I had fun. I lived. I enjoyed living. And if we're the only people in the world, then that makes us the happiest people in the world. That hits you so hard, to where these girls that have basically accepted their death at this point, they know this is it. It's too far to go back. We're not going to go back. They don't think about going back because they know this is it. They have accepted it. And somehow they're able to see the joyful side of this. They're able to see the good left in just living. That hits you so deep, to where, yeah, none of us deal with the idea that we are the last people on earth. Nobody deals with that. Nobody deals with the idea that today is going to be our last day because we are going to die of starvation. Nobody thinks about that. But the idea of struggling daily is something that so many people deal with, to where people have to, they debate, is it worth living anymore? And I think a series like Girls Last Tour, as depressing as the ending may be, I feel like it is impactful if you've felt them things. I don't know how to explain it. It's comforting to know in the end that these girls were happy just existing. The pan out at the end to where they fall asleep and it just pans out showing the city that they have explored, that they have enjoyed exploring. And then it's just the end. That's it. That hits. It hits me so hard. I enjoyed this series so much. I've read it multiple times. It is one that, if I can recommend a manga to a new reader, I recommend this one because it's very short for one, but also I feel like anyone can kind of relate to it in a way that no one can really understand. And I love that. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go deep into spoilers on every topic. There are some things with robots that I would love to talk about, but I'm not going to drag this video out for 40 minutes. There are things in it that just, they make you think so much about a situation like this, and that makes you wonder why so many series like, like I mentioned earlier, Fallout, all of those, can make really good moments. And I'm not going to try to discredit those, but how a series like this can do so much more in such a short amount of time. And it's just so, it's crazy. So overall rating, this is a 10 out of 10. I don't give them out very often, but this is a 10 out of 10 series. Obviously, the anime ends in volume 4, so it is not a complete series. But where the anime ends is a great spot to end, because it kind of ends on that hopeful note where that hope is gone by the end of volume 6, but it's a good ending point as well. It's a good bookend. Now, will we ever get that second last 2 volumes? I doubt it. It moves very quickly. There's no real good spot to end off those episodes, and it would be a shorter season anyway. It would be about 8 episodes instead of 12. So I don't really think that's going to happen. Could a movie happen? Probably, and it probably would work. My issue there is this series came out in, it was back in the 2010s, and it is many years old now, and I don't think a movie would really be the best option at this point. So I do think we have seen the last of Girls Last Tour as a franchise. I don't think we'll see any more. The manga creator has moved on to different things. Seemingly everyone else has moved on to different things. So I don't see why we would ever come back to this. So I think this is the end for this series. Now, although I am not doing the updated ranking anymore, this would be at the top of the ones that I've talked about so far. There are other series that I would put slightly above this, but this is the top of the ones that I've talked about so far. You can go check out those other anime reviews on my channel as well. There is a playlist for them. They will be linked down below. You can go check them out if you'd like. Now, this is a different type of anime review that I like to do, to where I kind of do a casual conversation with you, and I don't really go into a lot of details. I just talk about some of my favorite moments, talk about what I liked, talk about what I didn't like. There wasn't a whole lot that I didn't like in this one. I liked pretty much everything. That's why I gave it a 10. But in other reviews, I will kind of go over what I liked, what I didn't like, and then we'll kind of go over everything with a mild spoiler review mainly. Now, for newer anime, I'm not going to spoil everything for you, but older anime like this one, I'm going to spoil some stuff. Now, last time I told you I was going to review Rascal Does Not Dream Bunny Girl Senpai next. That is not the case. What I'm going to do is I'm going to combine not only Rascal Does Not Dream Bunny Girl Senpai, but I'm going to combine Dreaming Girl, Venturing Out Sister, and Knapsack Girl all into one big review, and we'll do that maybe a month from now, but it is coming. It is one that I have written down to come soon. So the next review will actually be one from this new season. So I can't say what it is yet because there's a few of them that I'm working on. I don't know which one will come out first, but it will be one coming from spring 2024. And anyway, that will conclude this review. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.